Welcome to the Industry Insider, brought to you by PromoCorner. Each week, promotional product professionals Meg Erber, Jeff Franklin, and Stephen McFadden, along with special guests, will discuss industry news, trends, and events with a focus on educating the promotional products industry. The Industry Insider, the nerdy news you need to know.
Welcome back to another episode of the Industry Insider, your promotional products podcast, where you can get all the nerdy news you need to know about. My name is Jeff Franklin, National Accounts Manager with Headwear USA. I'm joined today by three other lovely folks, but before we get to them, we got something a little special for you this week, courtesy of our friends over at Sagni. Instead of hearing this voice for another minute, longer than you really need to hear it today, why don't we do this?
Sagni is thrilled to be hosting the all-new Promotions East. New dates, new location, and new experience. Join us October 17th through the 19th at Harrah's Resort in Atlantic City, where we will meet, stay, and play all in one place. Registration is now open for distributors. Visit promotionseast.com/attend and use promo code PC2022 to claim your free registration. Check out promotionseast.com for all the details and follow Sagni on social media.
In all seriousness, come on, how much better is that than me reading an ad?
Oh, 100 times. I mean, it's okay.
Thank you, Sagni, and thank you, Promotions East. Honestly, I'm pumped. Like, the more stuff that comes out about Promotions East building up to that October date, just get more and more excited. So super excited for that. Meg, you've got a little bit of a smorgasbord, a spread there in front of you. What's that all about? What's happening today? How are you, first of all?
Well, first off, I am amazing. We are pre-recording this episode, so I'm on vacation, and it is 9 o'clock in the morning. So I am about to start my vacation off right, or maybe end my vacation off right. But yeah,
well, you can't drink all day unless you start in the morning.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but I'm glad that you did mention it's pre-recorded, so that you know.
Yeah, for that matter. I know. Why are you drinking on a work day? I'm not.
Stephen McFadden, how are you doing?
Doing awesome. When we first joined, I thought Meg had 4 glasses of milk in front of her, so I wasn't sure what we were doing. But no, I'm excited. This is a good way to start the day. So
the frosted glasses are looking a little milkish, but it's all good.
They're empty.
She read about it in a book and online about how to do this, so I'm sure we're going to get an education from Meg here real soon.
It's going to be a blast, let me tell you. Well, we're joined today by a very special guest, a returning guest to the show, Cliff Quicksell. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing delightful, but my friends, thank you very much. Thank you for asking me to be on. Appreciate it.
Yeah, super excited. So today's going to be a really fun episode. We're going to do a little bit of a beer tasting in light of today's topic. So we wanted to bring Cliff on. Cliff, you're the current president at CPPA, the Chesapeake Promotional Products Association. And CPPA actually has an event coming up actually tomorrow from the time this episode is posted. But really excited about that. It's called Pints and Promos, and it's something that CPPA has now done every year annually for the last couple of years, and it's something a few other regionals are doing as well. They call it something different, each of us, but it's just a really fun networking event with some education as well. So just wanted to bring you on, Cliff, to talk about the event and your experiences with some of the special events that CPPA and other regionals have done that you've been a part of. And as a part of that, and in celebration of the Pints and Promos event, we all picked a beer, and everybody has gone to pick those beers up, and we're going to do a bit of a tasting today.
But
Sounds
first,
good.
How did? By the way, go ahead.
No, so by the way, we don't know anything about Cliff. Like, how did you?
Oh, that's true.
Cliff?
You're right. Look, it's 9 o'clock, as you mentioned. I'm on about 3.5 hours of sleep coming in from a flight late last night that was delayed, and an early morning, thanks to Mr. Quicksell. Now, so Cliff, it is customary for us to give our special guest a good 3 to 4 minutes to introduce yourself. See, I just figured you didn't need an introduction. It was just, it was planned.
Wrong, sir.
But no. For anybody that's been under a rock, Cliff, why don't you give people a quick rundown of your career in the promotional products industry, maybe how you got started and what you've been up to since?
Wow, I've been in the industry nearly 40 years now, so that's take a little bit longer than 4 minutes, but a quick overview. I've been on the distributor side for many years. Then I went over to the supplier side, left the supplier side. Now I'm strictly in the consulting and speaking realm, and I write for Promo Corner. Love writing for them. They're great. I've spoken internationally, probably in about 7 different countries. Love it. Love sharing. Now I have consulting work and with a couple of supplier companies and a couple of distributor companies, and looking to expand that. So I'm getting ready to launch a new company, hopefully in about 3 months. It's on the radar, which I'm pretty excited about. So we'll see how it all goes. But I love the industry. It's been, I think we can all attest that once you get into this business, it's like a vortex. You sometimes you try to navigate out it just kind of sucks you right back in. And so I've been, it's been a nice ride. It's been a phenomenal ride. And I think the best part of it all, and it kind of segues into the whole regional association thing, is you just meet so many wonderful people along the way. Like I've had the pleasure of knowing the 3 of you, and it's just the camaraderie, the connection, and I think the really cool thing is the ability to know that you can reach out to somebody and say, hey, look, I need your help. And this is a very giving industry as a whole. And so that's, I think that's that whole relationship side is, I think, the thing that really keeps people sucked in. You don't want to lose those connections. So thanks again for having me. It's great.
Yeah, absolutely. Super excited to have you on. All right. Well, Stephen, you were going to ask a question.
I'm just curious, for those that don't know Pints and Promos, like how did that start, and what is the objective of that within the regional? And have you guys done it before, or is this the first time? Like what's
No, so we've done it annually for a couple of years, but it came up at LDW. So at LDW, which is Leadership Development Workshop that PPAI puts on each year, I think it was my first LDW maybe that I attended. One of the other regionals, they had a special session. I think it was called like Ignite or something like that, where each they had sort of a round table, or not a round table, a revolving presentation where somebody from different regionals would come up and talk about an event that they did or something successful that they had done. And one of the things was, some type of like brewery and promo event. And so we kind of took that and ran with it. And the first one was pretty successful and had a nice turnout for a small networking event, and just continued to do it each year. And it's always been one of the highlights, in my opinion, of the CPPA networking groups, or networking events, I should say. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. You get to work because local breweries are popping up everywhere. I guarantee you, wherever you're at, there's some type of small local brewery that would love to, host an event. It may be, a free space, and that's the really nice thing too, is that a lot of the smaller guys are only open, maybe Thursday through Sunday. So if you do an event on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, it's not during normal business hours. And they're typically brewing during those days. So it makes for a really cool time to be able to go in there when, yes, there are people there. It's staffed. They're, like I said, they're brewing. So it's a great opportunity for you to get in there and sort of see what happens behind the scenes. You get to do a tour of the brewery, and you get some drinks along the way, and some education from different promotional product suppliers that have chosen to sign up to do that.
Yeah. I think it's a great event myself. And, the other thing, like in our area, like where Jeff and we live, is there's a lot of distilleries that are opening up, as well as, wineries. So the venue opportunity is tremendous. Right up the road, 10 minutes from me, it's a little out of the reach for our regional, but right up the road from us, we have a beautiful place that sits up on the side of a mountain. It's a distillery, a winery, and a brewery all in one. Wow. And it overlooks the Frederick Valley, and it's gorgeous. Matter of fact, I stumbled into, I was sitting there by myself one day, listening to some music, doing some work on a Sunday, and all of a sudden, who taps me on the shoulder but Jeff, and he's there with his family. So it's really nice. So
it was Father's Day.
But yeah, it was Father's Day. I was by myself. How about that? So,
I had to come over and wish you a happy Father's Day.
You did. You gave me one of those proverbial son-father hugs, like it'll be okay.
Well, your son's kind of doing important things right now, isn't he? Like, look, I mean, it's not like he's home, right?
No, that's true. And my daughter was in Australia. She works for Lockheed Martin, and she was in Australia. So, yeah, it's but I'm okay. I got like I said, I got the proverbial hug from Jeff, so I'm in good shape.
That makes up for it. But and for those of you who don't know, Cliff's son is in the Navy, so he's out to sea right now. But so thank you for your sacrifices and your son his service. So thank
you so much for that. It means a lot.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
So all of these beers, right? I think we should. Well, do we want to talk about why you guys decided to do this? I don't know if you hit that, Jeff, but Cliff. Why did you guys decide to do this pints and promos? Because I mean, we're a family industry, right? How does this fit in to our industry?
I think people just love connecting, and I think you topple that you top that off with what's gone on for the last 2 years. People just being so relegated to being at home and in the office and doing calls like this. And while this is a blessing to be able to connect with people, the human spirit is about connectivity and shaking somebody's hand and give somebody a hug and looking them in the eye and seeing them smile and things like that. And I just think that just looking at the last few shows I've been to speaking, just the excitement on people's faces about being out and about has been great. So I think for us it was we don't use the events as a revenue generator. Our goal is to use these events to really build connectivity between the supplier base as well as the distributors, the multi-line reps, the factory reps, just create that connectivity. And to Jeff's point, the people that have been to these events, they absolutely love them. Some of them might be a little tentative to go. Oh, should I go? Is it going to make sense to go? And then once they're there, it's amazing. It's like a hook. They're the first ones to sign up when we do the next one. So, and it's not the only thing that we do. We do baseball games. I think the last baseball game we went to, we had over 110 people right there, Jeff.
Yep.
It was crazy. Wow. So yeah. It was good.
Yeah, we get some decent turnout at some of these events. It's actually a lot of fun, But to your point, some of these events that we get the best turnout for aren't necessarily revenue generating. They're actually, sometimes subsidized by the regional association. And so, when you're really looking to get value out of that regional membership, I think attending a subsidized event is kind of one of those ways to get some value out of it because you're paying less than the retail value of something. So. It's definitely a lot of fun. And, the regional, they're just trying to put it together. They would love to subsidize, 100 or 200 tickets, because the more that they're subsidizing just means the more successful the event is. So why don't we talk about the beers that we've got in front of us that we've all selected?
I just have a really quick question for you. So when you go to a brewery, how many do beer, like a beer tasting, or does everyone just drink beer? And that second question to that is how many beers do they have there? Because I don't have any breweries. I mean, I have a lot of wineries, but not a lot of breweries. So is that something that you guys have set up? Like, do you do a flight or?
Yeah, Jeff does a 30-point flight.
Oh.
I go hard.
It's not a joke.
No, I'm joking.
Okay.
I don't know how the points work, but he's winning.
Yeah. No, so every brewery is different as far as what beers they're going to have. Unfortunately, you don't really have any input on what they get to have on tap when you're there at the venue. But typically, if you're choosing a brewery, you're going to get a large variety of beer for the most part. They're going to have probably a Pilsner, a lager, IPAs, New England IPAs. Depending on the time of the year, might be a porter or a stout. So it just depends on when you're going, when you're setting them up, and what they're brewing. But there's usually a pretty nice variety. And as far as how they set things up, we've always done it as, the attendees get 2 drink tickets, and you get to select the beer that you want to do. The flights are probably a good idea. I don't know if there's a way to work that in, but essentially we wanted to do the beer tasting because this is like the only real way that we can kind of explore an option sort of similar to what we would experience if we went to a brewery. And then, like I said, we all selected 1 beer. And that's what you've got in front of us here is 4 beers. Now, it was a little bit difficult because, we are from different parts of the world, or at least the country, different states. So trying to select beers that everybody would be able to find was a bit of a
challenge.
Thing.
Challenge.
Somehow we ended up with a Thai beer in front of us.
You're welcome.
Mr.
I got you.
Mr. McFadden.
It arrived bubble wrapped on my doorstep yesterday afternoon. I was like,
hey, don't get me in trouble with the shippers, okay?
I mean, I've never seen a bubble wrap job quite as good as that, though. So kudos to you. It was skills that I lack.
Yes.
So yeah, we've got Stephen. Why don't you tell us about your beer then?
So just like you said, we're gonna have quite the variety today. We were looking at it, and we have Thailand, Canada, Jamaica, and then U.S. So the one I chose is called Chang. It actually means elephant in Thailand. And so the first time I had this was 7+ years ago in Thailand. And so that's why I chose this beer. So
hey, look at this guy right here. This would be a perfect promotional product for this type of event, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It would be.
Thanks, Promo Corner.
So yeah, it's nothing like the beer isn't anything crazy special, but cheers. It's got more sentimental, I guess, to me, since this was when we did our family trip to Thailand. So
it smells really good. It doesn't smell too bitter.
Mm-mm.
So
It smells like a Thai beer.
How do Thai beers smell?
Like
It
this.
smells like yeah.
That's
I still
good.
have my toothpaste. The toothpaste taste is still in my mouth.
But I just remember it being pretty smooth
Hold
and
on.
nothing that crazy and a good solid beer. So
I feel like all Asian beers kind of taste the same to some degree.
That's really good. There's a beer from Czechoslovakia called Pilsner Urquell.
Mhm.
This tastes a lot like that. This
Oh,
is good. Really
It has like a spritzy taste at the end, like a Premier, like like Corona Premier, kind of seltzery at the end.
Mm-hmm.
It has a very expensive taste.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
So there you go. So this is my
Cool.
contribution. Thai beer.
That's Chang Lager from Thailand. Very
Yes.
cool. Very cool. Meg, why don't we go with your Moosehead
All right.
Canadian lager?
Canadian beer.
I know, right? So a little backstory on this. So when we first decided to do this is not my original beer that I chose. I chose another crappy beer called
Yeah,
Lion.
why don't you tell them about the crappy beer that I just bought a case of, thanks to you.
So when I was younger, like post Navy days, but still not, I don't know, we would buy a case of this stuff for like $8. And you pull off the lid and there would be like a hieroglyphics on it. So you forget about how bad the beer tastes and you drink it so you can kind of figure out the hieroglyphics and then go to the next one. So it was a lot of fun. And I thought that would be so much fun for this. We can do it. But so Jeff went out and got his and I went to 4 different places and could not find it anywhere. Everyone was like, it's been discontinued. So I have no idea how old that beer is that you
Yeah, well, Meg got a good little chuckle out of me finding that beer, because as soon as I found it, I'm like, well, they only sell it by the case. I'm like, I'm not buying an entire freaking case of this crap for a little 3-ounce pour on Friday. And then I was like, never mind. I went ahead and bought it. I'm like, it was cheap enough. A whole case was like $13, and it's bottled. It's not like canned. It's not like Keystone where you're nothing against Keystone.
So I chose Moosehead because I saw this beer in every beer store, but I have been looking at a house on Moosehead Lake. So I thought, this is the beer. And so I don't know how it tastes. But it wasn't.
Tastes like a lager.
Okay.
Tastes like a lager. Maybe
Not
more to my
bad.
liking than the Chang, but they're both lagers.
Yeah.
They're both good.
They taste very similar, actually.
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Cliff, do you remember Qingdao beer?
My head still remembers it, being in China.
That's what I meant by like the Chang. Like it all seems like Vietnamese beer, that Thai beer, Qingdao. Like it all kind of has a similar taste, in my opinion.
Oh my God. I
It's good.
remember 13 of us going out, and there was those quart bottles, and our partner at the time, I used to be the CEO of Headwear USA, and we went to China, and this guy loved Qingdao beer. Oh my God. And I think afterwards I looked over and there was like 52 quart bottles sitting on the empty quart bottles. And there was like 13 of us. And like every time you turned around, he's like, "Kung Pai, Kung Pai, Kung Pai." And everybody, I was like, "Oh, okay, I'm going to have, I don't, if that says enough, that's the word I want to use, because I can't have any more."
All done.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and it's really funny because when you that the word that you just used, "come by," it basically means bottoms up, and so they give you a solid pour of this thing. It's not like an ounce, 2 ounces. It's, what would you say, Cliff? At least 4 to 6 ounces, right? Probably 8 ounces even.
Oh yeah, it's at least like a 4 to 6. Yeah, and it's just nonstop.
Yeah, it's literally nonstop. It's like bless your mama. Gumbai, bless your. I mean, it's like literally just one after the other the whole time. There's no wonder, and they bring these they're literally frozen. The boxes are like frosty because of how frozen these beers are when they bring them out, which is really the saving grace. Yeah, I mean, a nice ice cold beer is the best. But
I think the funniest story about the China thing is we're all sitting around, and like I said, 13 of us, so all the partners and whatnot, and they bring out this big fish. And my partner at the time, TB, he says, "Oh my God, we've got a problem." I said, "What's that?" He says, "We have 13 people and 2 fish eyes." I go, "No, you don't have a problem. You got 12 people and 2 fish eyes. Maybe you still have a problem, but you can eliminate me from that equation." And everybody's fighting for the eyeball. I was like, "I'm out." Did
you eat the cow tongue?
No.
Yeah, I did, but I've eaten cow tongue before, and it's not shaped like that. That was not cow tongue.
I mean, I remember going to the fish market in Nanjing, and it was huge. It was like the whole bottom floor was just aquariums, and you would pick your fish out. And I look in one, and the guy's smoking over top of the tank, and there's a fish with like one fin over here and one eye on this side swimming in a circle. And I was like, "Nah, I got."
You got to order that one to put it out of its misery.
Yeah, you felt like just paying for it and saying, "Just get rid of it." It was crazy. But
there's so many good jokes that could come out of that. I'll save it.
See, this is what happens when you start drinking.
Where are we going next?
In spirit of sticking with the lagers, Cliff, tell us about your choice here.
Okay, so this is my favorite, Red Stripe, and my story behind this is I went on a cruise with my wife, and we wound up in Barbados, and I just love the taste of it myself. But what was interesting, I said to I was talking to a police officer. He goes, all the people here that all the bad guys that around here, they yell Red Stripe, and everybody thinks that they're asking for a beer. But look on the side of my pants, we have blue pants, but we have a red stripe that runs down the side, so it kind of lets people know, hey, the popo's around, right? It was pretty funny. So it's a lot like back in the days in Europe when the carnies would talk in what they called Cockney. It was like a special language so that they could communicate around the police. But I just thought it was funny. I mean, that's the story I have. But Red Stripe is phenomenal, especially when it's cold. So, salute.
Salute.
Come by.
Yeah, I've had my fair share of Red Stripes on cruises down in like the Caribbean or in Jamaica. They're solid.
Yeah,
I've never been on a cruise, Bill and Josh.
Yeah,
maybe
you should enter their
want to change
competition.
that. Promocations.
You should enter their competition for the chance to win.
Well, you see, I have the shirt. I thought it was beside me, but it's not. But I have the shirt.
Better get on it. Better get those posts going.
Yeah, you're lucky that I'm standing right now. Cliff knows a little story about something that happened in 2 weeks. Well, actually, you guys all know about.
We know.
So I was bedridden for a little while, guys. I couldn't necessarily take a picture. It wouldn't have been a very sexy picture to take in that shirt. So, yeah. So yeah, I've never been on a cruise, but I have had my fair share of Red Stripe as well. It's a good lager.
It's okay.
Well, you know what? There's an open invitation February 17th through the 1st of March. Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. We go every year for 2 weeks. So open invitation.
I mean, do I hear Industry Insider?
Road trip?
Yeah.
I mean, we can do
I can sort it out. We can broadcast live. It'll be my 10th time down there. I know a lot of people. That would
Lori,
be cool.
hey, I can bring somebody that speaks the language.
I know somebody.
I can bring my Google Translator app. So we're solid.
There
I'll
you
bring
go.
the muscle.
So, Lori and Joel, do you think we can expense this and write it off? What do you think? I think we can probably do that, right?
Yeah, I think so. All right.
All right, what do you got for us? What is this?
So I brought so this whole conversation started, by the way, because we were talking about like the different Mexican beers that we drink. Like I think Steven, you were talking about Dos Equis. Meg, I think you were talking about like Corona or something, and I was like, no, like those were both terrible compared to Pacifico. And here I am, we're choosing beers, and I'm trying to find something that everybody can just pick up easily. My favorite kind of beer is a New England style IPA. It's dry hopped. And so it's not as bitter or hoppy, so to speak, as like a traditional West Coast IPA. But I picked Sierra Nevada Hazy Little Thing instead of picking Pacifico. So that's where that story comes from.
Mm-hmm. Are we going to like this?
Have you not had this before, Steven?
No.
Well, as you read on the can, this is a North Carolina brew. It's actually a California North Carolina brew.
Hey, you know, our industry is all about branding, right? And if you read this can, I love it. At the top, it says family owned, operated, and argued over. I thought, how cool. That's that awesome. Little tagline right here.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Yeah, I'm with you, Meg.
What, you don't like a hazy beer? Come on now.
Can somebody get me a cracker?
Meg's got some pretzels up there that you can.
So I can wash this down.
VJ tried it last night and he was like, get it out of my mouth.
I don't dislike it as much as I thought I would, if I'm being honest.
You want me to save this for you and bring it back when I see you next?
Oh, I had to buy a 12-pack, by the way.
Or skunk by then, but no. Huh?
I had to buy a 12-pack for these. So
it's honestly, it's a good beer. This is a hazy IPA. This isn't a full-on New England style IPA, but any hazy is going to have some dry hop to it. But this is the closest thing I could find that everybody would be able to get to. So, cheers.
It has like layers.
Meg's reacting like I did the first time I ate Brussels sprouts. I say,
you don't like Brussels sprouts?
I just can't get
not in their true traditional form.
That is like the best vegetable there is.
Okay.
Obviously,
you've not had my asparagus.
Roasted Brussels sprouts are legit the best.
I make them with like a sweet chili Thai sauce on them. Anyway, there's several layers to this taste. Like the first layer is like, the last layer is very citrusy.
Yeah,
I like that part.
We've got our resident sommelier here to.
I was like,
well, she does have the pretzels in the water to palate cleanse
and wine glasses
tastings.
But they are promoed wine glasses, y'all. See, it says CIL City, which is where I am. So I thought it'd be perfect.
Actually, I'm gonna desensitize my mouth with this Purell.
Hey, but I will tie this in a little bow for us. It did get us talking.
Yeah.
Right. And telling
stories. We don't do that at all.
And we don't talk yet. So.
No, I don't.
But I have to imagine.
And that's the magic behind doing a Pints and Promos. You get some promotional product education. if the regional is doing that component of it. For us, it kind of helps cover the cost because the suppliers get charged a little bit extra to do the presentation, and then distributors do pay a nominal fee, but which covers the cost of admission plus the 2 drink tickets. But look, you get some promotional product education from your local suppliers, which is always great. And then, like you said, Stephen, it gets conversation flowing, and you start learning about gumby and all kinds of different whatever. You really get to learn and know who people really are.
Yeah.
If you don't mind me throwing something in, I just made a note here. I encourage people or associations, regionals that are going to do this type of thing to kind of start thinking. Jeff, you and I had a pretty lengthy conversation this morning about thinking outside the box, and like, for instance, how do you take doing a lot of prepper, how do you take the 4 beers that they're going to present at the brewery, and how do you let the suppliers know that, and how do you maybe take this hoppy beer here, and how do you tie it into a product or something like that, so that there's some recognition to the product, what they're tasting, so that the memory kind of, like, if all of a sudden I'm walking through the liquor store and I see that label, I go, oh, I remember that Tal Specialties, they did something along that line about the dry or whatever. How do you make that connection? So I think making connections with the product and how is really a good plus. And I think that's what kind of takes it to the next level, as opposed to we're all just going to be sipping beer and listen to somebody do a talk. And so, again, I encourage people to probably to a fault, but I encourage people to stretch their imaginations when it comes to things like that.
I agree with you, but I'm always talking about that. And, Charity and I just did this social media campaign for Promotions East, actually. And when we were talking about putting the logos on the products that we were going to be sending out to our champions and influencers, we didn't want to just put the Promotions East logo on something, because how many times are our influencers going to wear that after this campaign is done? That shortens the shelf life too, but we want to show a message. So thinking outside the box and getting people to wear it, to use it, or whatever, to get that return on the emotion. There was something else I heard recently. It was like a new return on something, and I can't remember what it is, but I'll probably, do you know, Stephen? Looks like you're about to say it.
I have no idea.
Okay, never mind. But yeah, you got to think outside the box and do things differently. And this is so much fun. And there are ways to tie in promo, tons of ways. Like you said, this is the dry hoppy beer, and you bring in a towel, and the towel sponsor has their logo, something like messaging on it. And that's going to be an easy way to tie it back later on, and keep that memory going, and keep that it factor. So yeah,
turn on their imagination.
Maybe that's what it is.
Well, if you think about it, it is, our industry is about connecting. It's about, a purpose and connecting and making sure that things are relatable, recognition, brand recognition. How do you tie those things together? That's why I'm such a big fan of, doing things more on the, if somebody called me up and said, hey, I need a product to give away at a trade show, you go call Knick Knack Mac. I can't really help you with that. But if you want to understand how you can drive traffic to a show using promotional merchandise in a creative way, I think that really is the biggest missing component in this industry for so many people. Yep. Because otherwise you're with the 97%ers just competing on price. And I think if you move that over to what regionals can do, I love, if I can just take a couple seconds here. I had a friend of mine in the National Speakers Association. His name is Brian Walters. He came out one day and he said, I'm going to come up with a presidential edict this year. It's an acronym, WISLITSI, and it stands for, if you want something, leverage the community. And if you think about the promotional marketing community that we have, the stellar minds that are out there with creativity and innovation, and then you combine that with product and copy and packaging and graphics. There is no reason why you should be looking at a stale glass just as a glass anymore. How do you elevate that? And I think if more people started looking at them almost from an agency mindset level, that people would see their profits enhanced. They would see more loyalty with their customers. Because if it's, when you get, and again, I don't want to get on my soapbox, but if it's just a glass or if it's just a t-shirt, at the end of the day, anybody can do it. And then it's relegated to who's the cheapest. So,
hey, I have a 60-second testimonial about that, Cliff. So we were pitching for a new customer, and they asked us, they were interviewing us as well as some other folks, I don't know who they were, and said, they're like, what's your ideal customer? And I was like, well, I said, honestly, probably just someone that lets us do our job. And they were like, can you elaborate a little bit about that? I'm like, yeah. I said, yeah. I said, I feel like we have more creative ideas than we have creative customers. And I said, I really wish that we would get more customers that would allow us to be as creative as we can. And that was it. We got the customer, and they were like, be creative. They're like, we don't know what we're doing. But it just changes that mindset, right? Of, we have the ideas, and lots of people do, but sometimes you got to force it on your customer, right? So it's, you got to stretch them a little bit outside their comfort zone and show them why, right? So,
hey, Stephen, to that point, I tell you a really quick story. Paul Kiwi, very dear friend of mine, he's the executive director at MIPA. We were talking one day about, he and I just brainstormed a lot on creative, and he said, I was at this company that he used to sell to, was Krylon Paints. And they came out with this new paint that when you sprayed it on, it dried in 10 minutes so that you could put the next coat on. He says, while I'm in there, and I'm kind of paraphrasing this, so Paul, if I butchered it, I apologize, but the essence of it was amazing. So he said he goes in, and while he was there, one of his competitors came in and talked to the marketing guy that he was working with. And he says, do you mind giving me a couple seconds to talk to this other salespeople? Paul said, no. The guy's trying to sell him coffee mugs. And then the guy comes back to Paul and he goes, I can't believe this guy. I don't need coffee mugs. Why the heck is he in here trying to sell me coffee mugs? And he goes, yeah, I don't know. So Paul says, on my way back, I had a 2-hour drive. I went, I've got an idea. So he designs this on-pack that with this theme that said, try our paints, because you spray it on, and by the time you can drink a cup of coffee, you can now spray on the next coat. He said the guy bought 10,000 coffee mugs from him. I thought that was absolutely magic. He goes, he didn't want coffee mugs, but he wanted a solution to sell his paint. And that was such a magical, really a magical case history about how some people go in to sell the stuff, and then some people go in to sell the creative idea. Same thing. So
love it.
That was amazing.
That's awesome.
Creative idea. I love it. You know where else you can find some creative ideas?
What's that?
Promotions East?
I was waiting for Jeff to.
Promotions East? Is it?
Yeah.
I think so. I think so. Come see the experience.
I'm sure you're definitely going to see some pretty kick-ass products there and some kick-ass suppliers for sure. So take it away.
Sagni is thrilled to be hosting the all-new Promotions East. New dates, new location, and new experience. Join us October 17th through the 19th at Harrah's Resort in Atlantic City, where we will meet, stay, and play all in one place. Registration is now open for distributors. Visit promotionseast.com/attend and use promo code PC2022 to claim your free registration. Check out promotionseast.com for all the details and follow Sagni on social media.
Amazing. Super excited about Promotions East again. And Meg, not sure what you were doing there, but are you throwing my hazy little thing in the sink? Is that what you're doing?
I was
That's
not.
what you're doing. That's what you're doing.
When Meg held up those 4 flights like that, she looked like the St. Pauli girl on the side of the bottle. Exactly.
All right. Well, Cliff, thank you so much for joining us today, man. Really appreciate you. And again, check out what else your regional associations are doing. It's not just trade shows, and it's not just membership. It's not just virtual webinars. There are a lot of other cool in-person networking events that you're just not taking advantage of. And I'm telling you, it's the best part of your regional association. So be sure to check them out. And Cliff, thanks again for joining us and spreading some good mind share, sir. Appreciate you.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. You all have a great one.
Yep. Until next time, guys. Take care.
Cheers.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Promo Corner's Industry Insider. For more great content from industry thought leaders, including podcasts, blogs, and videos, visit promocorner.com.